Hello friends, today we are going to discuss the multiple access techniques. We already have studied the multiplexing. Now what is multiplexing and what is the multiple access techniques? That we are going to discuss first. Multiple access means multiple users and multiple receiver communication. Multiple access methods are used in satellite networks, cellular and mobile communication networks, and underwater acoustic networks. The multiple access techniques are the techniques in which the total bandwidth of the common link is shared in frequency domain, time domain, or through ports. Now, what is the need of multiple access? Basically, it is needed when there are multiple users who need to share a wireless communication system. As we already know multiplexing, let us discuss what is the difference between multiplexing and multiple access. That way they are quite similar term, but there is a slight difference between the two. Multiplexing is a method by which multiple analog or digital signals are combined into one signal over a shared medium. Combining signal from same sources. Basically, multiplexing involves there are multiple signals, but they are from the same sources and they are combined. Whereas in multiple access, it allows several terminals connected to the same transmission medium to transmit over a shared medium. So here, the technique combines signals from multiple sources. So this is the basic difference between multiplexing and multiple access. There are three types of multiple access systems, or rather multiple access technology. The first one is called as frequency division multiple access, abbreviated as FDMA. The second one is TDMA, means time division multiple access. And the third one is CDMA, that is code division multiple access. Let us discuss the frequency division multiple access, that is FDMA. In FDMA, we assign each signal a different type of frequency band. That means it is the range. The available channel, we call it a medium also. Bandwidth is shared by all the stations. Each station will have its own specific slot reserved in entire channel. That is the entire channel bandwidth. Hence, there won't be any interference between them even if we send those signals in one channel. One perfect example of this is the type of access is our radio channels. We can see that each station has been given a different frequency band in order to operate. Look at the block diagram of FDMA. You can see over here on x-axis there is a frequency, on y-axis there is a time, and on the third axis, rather we can call this x, this y, and this z. So there are three parameters: frequency, code, and time. What you observe over here in FDMA, various channels are there and each channel has its associated frequency band. That is the speciality of FDMA. Thus, FDMA divides the shared medium bandwidth into individual channels. Each channel has its own specific slot reserved in entire channel bandwidth. There are guard bands between the adjacent frequency. You can see over here. Now this figure shows what happens if there are no guard bands. Here, immediately after F1, F2 starts. So at this point the chances of interference is there. That's why it is necessary to separate these frequency bands by a band called as guard band. So what are the advantages of FDMA that we'll discuss now? Here, since all the frequency channels they are available or they are working at a time, if any channel is not in use, it will sit idle. Channel bandwidth is relatively narrow. This is very simple algorithmically and from a hardware standpoint too. It is fairly efficient when the number of stations is small and the traffic is uniformly constant. The capacity increases, or rather we can say increase in the capacity is possible by reducing the information bit rate and using the efficient digital code. There is no need of network timing and no restriction regarding the type of baseband or type of modulation. Of course, there are disadvantages associated with FDMA. Firstly, the presence of guard bands. As you can say, this presence will limit the use of entire bandwidth. Some bandwidth is wasted in the form of guard bands, but of course they are essential. FDMA requires right RF filtering to minimize the adjacent channel interference. If the filtering is not good, the chances of interference increases. Maximum bit rate per channel is fixed because every channel will have its limited band. The maximum bit rate possible is going to be fixed. Small inhibiting flexibility in bit rate capability. So here we can say that this limitation can be understood in this way. We have very little flexibility in the bit rate. And this does not differ significantly from analog systems. That way this is not a true digital system. Now let us consider the second multiple access techniques, that is the time division multiple access. As the name suggests, TDMA is a time-based access. Here we give a certain time frame to each channel. Within that time frame, the channel can access the entire spectrum bandwidth. If you look at the figure, you can see here how the time division multiplexing is possible over here. TDMA is a digital transmission technology that allows number of users to access a single radio frequency channel without interference by allocating unique time slots to each user within each channel. You can see over here, if there are 3 user ABC, every user is allocated a fixed time slot and it can be seen from this diagram. Each station got a fixed length of slot and the slots which are unused will remain in the ideal stage. This is another figure that explains how TDMA is actually working. So here you can see these are the various stations. They are sending the signals here. So their time slots are fixed, like here I, O, N, G. These are, let us say, various stations, and they here use the channel in their respective time slots, and then the receiver will receive it. The corresponding receivers will receive it. The linear diagram here, this is more simple to understand. This is the sequence. Suppose 5 users are there, 5 transmitters are there, then their signals are transmitted in this manner, or even if more than that, accordingly they are using the channel in a time shared way. Suppose we want to send 5 packets of data to a particular channel in TDMA technique. So we should assign them certain time slots or time frame within which it can access the entire bandwidth. In the above figure, packet 1, 3 and 4 are active, which transmits data, whereas packets 2 and 5 are idle because of their non-participation. These formats get repeated every time we assign bandwidth to that particular channel. Although we have assigned certain time slots to a particular channel, but it can also be changed depending upon the load bearing capacity. That means if a channel is transmitting heavier loads, then it can be assigned a bigger time slot than the channel which is transmitting light loads. So a dynamic allocation is possible. This is a biggest advantage of TDMA. And in TDMA the power consumption will be also very low. Thus we can summarize the advantages of time division multiple access, that it carries data rates of 64 kbps to 120 mbps. It provides the user with extended battery life and talk time. It is the most cost-effective technology to convert an analog system to digital. This technology separates users according to time, so it ensures that there will be no interference. TDMA allows the operator to do services like fax, voice band data, and SMS, as well as bandwidth intensive application such as multimedia and video conferencing. There are of course some disadvantages associated. Firstly, each user has a predefined time slot. So when moving from one cell to other, if all the time slots in this cell are full, the user might be disconnected. The second disadvantage is it is subjected to multipath distortion. A signal coming from a tower to a handset might come from any one of the several directions. It might have bounced off several different buildings before arriving, and accordingly it may become weak. Now the third technique is the CDMA, that is code division multiple access. Here there is no restriction on time and frequency in this scheme. Parallel communication without collision and whole bandwidth can be used. Users are separated by code, not by time slot and frequency slot. See here, this diagram show you the difference between TDMA, FDMA and of course CDMA. On these three axes, how you can see both frequency and time, they are existing. The code is there for every channel and accordingly it is utilizing the medium all the time. So this is the tower base station. It is communicating with various receivers simultaneously. Just consider to understand CDMA how this is working. There are 10 people in a room. So 5 speak English, 2 speak Spanish, 2 speak Chinese and 1 speak Russian. Everyone is talking at relatively the same time over the same medium. What is that medium? It is the air. So I will ask you a few questions. Who can listen to whom and why? Who can't you understand? And who can't speak to anyone else? The answers are very simple. I am sure you can get the answers yourself. In the problem itself, it is very clear. The 5 people can speak English, so they can understand each other, they can communicate with each other. Those who speak Spanish, they can understand each other. 2 speak Chinese, so they can communicate, whereas 1 who speaks Russian, he don't know other languages, so he cannot communicate with the others. This is the principle on which CDMA technology is actually working. So it is a unique code has been assigned to each channel to distinguish from each other. So in CDMA technique, every channel is distinguished by the unique code from one another. A perfect example is our cellular system, mobiles. How we communicate simultaneously, all the transmitters and receivers are active. But one cell can communicate with other cell by its code, that is its number. So we can see that no two persons' mobile number match with each other, although they are same X or Y mobile service providing companies customers using the same bandwidth. In CDMA process, we do the decoding of the inner product of the encoded signal and chipping sequence. Therefore, mathematically, it can be written as encoded signal is equal to original data into chipping sequence. So basic advantage of this type of multiple access is that it allows all users to coexist and use the entire bandwidth at the same time. Since each user has different code, there won't be any interference. In this technique, a number of stations can have number of channels, unlike FDMA and TDMA. The base part of this technique is that each station can use the entire spectrum at all the time. So let us shortlist the advantages of CDMA. It has a potentially larger capacity, so more users can communicate simultaneously. If users don't use the medium all the time, example, they are just reading email, CDMA will allow much more users to communicate simultaneously. In other words, CDMA will use the resource more efficiently. It provides larger spectrum bandwidth. Rather, I say provide larger spread spectrum, thus more robust against noise burst and multipath frequency selective fading. Here are few examples of CDMA and comparison with other techniques. The transition from one base station to another is not abrupt as in TDMA, and it provides better quality. There is no absolute limit on the number of users. It is easy to add more users. Also, it is impossible for hackers to decipher the code sent, and signal quality is also better. Of course, there are some disadvantages also associated with CDMA, and they are as the number of users increases, the overall quality of service decreases. There is possibility of self jamming too, and there are problems like near and far. They are also arising with the CDMA technology. So friends, today we have discussed what is multiple access techniques and how it is different than multiplexing, and three types of multiple access techniques were studied with their advantages and disadvantages. Thank you.